Good afternoon. It is Saturday, June the 26th, back in the reading nook on what is turning out to be a reasonably bright afternoon after a day or so of heavy showers. I have, in addition to a nice hot cup of tea, 3 parcels to unpack. Now I have unpacked content from all of them, but there is extra in this one, which I did not get to, so I'm going to unbox that now. So I have already pulled out the excellent travelling volume number 13 for Empire to Battle Throne, but there is a second larger book in here also, which is this Mythic Babylon, from the design mechanism, making use of another basic roleplay derived set of mechanics called Mythras. I've reviewed Mythras and I've reviewed other Mythras using role-playing games, including Luther Wright, classic fantasy, and Leoness, based upon the works by Jack Vance. And this is written by Chris Gilmore and Paul Mitchner. You may recognise Paul Mitchner's name as the Tweedmeister on Twitter, and also the author of Liminal, which is a fantastic little British set urban fantasy role-playing game. Now, Mythic Babylon. Okay, it is the year 1765 BC. King Zimri Lim of Mari emerged from a planning session with his aides and summoned his personal scribe. As he paced the courtyard in his palace of the city of Tutel, he dictated a letter to the scribe, who used the cut end of a reed to press the message into a warm clay tablet. That letter, which was to be sent within the hour by speedy messenger, said, "To my wife Sabutu, thus says Zimri Lim, ask the oracles in Mari questions about Hammurabi of Babylon. Will this man ever die? Does he speak with honesty? Will he bring war? Will he besiege my cities in Sahum while I campaign up north in Apum? Question oracles, and when you have done so, do it again, and write to me with the answers." Some days later, the Queen of Mari replied, "I have asked the questions about Babylon. Here is what I've learned. The man of Babylon is sowing many seeds against this kingdom, but they will not bear fruit. Instead, you will overpower him and capture him. Then you will see what the god will do to him. His days will be at an end. This you should know." Reassured, King Zimri Lim organised his troops for departure to the district of Apum. He planned to give the battle to the adventurer Atarum, puppet of the Elamites, who was besieging his allies in the north. Mystic Babylon is a role-playing game supplement for the Mythras game system. It provides everything you need to take your Mythras game back to the 18th century before Christ and enter a world of cutthroat diplomacy, Machiavellian politics, and its ecstatic prophets. Within these covers, you'll find information on the society, culture, religion, trade, laws, and beliefs of old Babylon and the surrounding lands. The setting is presented as a sandbox with a wide-ranging gazetteer of places to explore, each loaded with plot hooks. For those who like to play against the backdrop of history, we provide a timeline of past and near-future events. A bestiary and a chapter for gold Game Masters rounds out the end of this book. This book contains everything you need to create adventures in the lands of Sumer, Arkad, and Subatu, from low-lying Eden to the Cedar Mountains, and even into the underworld. Following the steps of kings like Gilgamesh, Kubaba, or Hammurabi in this mythological and historical setting that is nearly 4,000 years in the making. So, this takes to essentially players back to essentially very early Bronze Age, where writing in language is becoming important, and the first messages and records are being recorded, and myths are being laid down, and so on. I turned to this, the artwork. I literally flipped through the book. This section art. That's fantastic. I love that. Fantastic. Great looking artwork. The book is black and white, but with colour used for emphasis. So primarily gold, but basically the gold on the grey kind of works. And we start off with introduction, which explains what is Mythic Babylon, where is it, when is it, and so on, and how you can use the setting and sort of like, you know, the period conventions used in the game, and essentially you've got a nice little bit of history, a personal note from the authors, which explains the origins of this game, and then we delve into life in the city, because essentially at this time the Middle East area, essentially dominated by the Tigris and Euphrates rivers, is an area of city-states and kingdoms. And we have a golden map of the region which showcases this. And you know, we have a full explanation of, you know, sort of what things like you know, canals and waters, governorship, housing, clothing, fashion, home and family, elements like that, marriage and divorce, sex and widows, and so on. And automatically, again, here's the culture, here's the background to what your character would know. It's important. It grounds who you are. And then we go into the social classes of the Arcadians, social slavery, social attitudes and discrimination, law and justice, and so on. Again, lots of information you can bring into a campaign to help illuminate or bring to life the setting for your players. And it's doing the same thing. It covers the elements of literacy and language, and what the peoples of the period would have known about, dealing with things like cryptography, numerology, literature, letters, and so on. Again, accompanied by just excellent artwork. I really like this. And then we go out into the land itself. We're dealing with agriculture, economy, and nomads, economics and bureaucracy. And if you don't know anything about, you know, the Babylonian period, then great. This is all new and interesting stuff. And I'm really looking forward to reading about this, even right down to things like beasts of burdens and carts of and wagons and so on. And you have things like throughout Hammurabi's laws here. Okay, so there we go. And again, just to show you, Hammurabi's laws, taverns and trade. 244, if a person has hired an ox or a sheep and a lion has killed it in the open field, it is the owner's loss. 245, if a person has hired an ox or a donkey and through neglect or by blows has caused it to die, ox for an ox, that person shall repay the owner. If a wild ox gores a person to death and causes them to die, that case has no remedy. 251, if an ox is a known gorer and has been and this has been made to the owner, but the owner has not blooded the horns or shut it in, that ox has gored to death, and a willum, the owner shall measure 30 shekels of silver, 20 for a slave. So yeah, information throughout that, again, customs and culture that the player characters will be against, basically dealing with on a day-to-day basis. So we go dealing with diplomacy and war, and basically military and conflict, all the way through. Then we start on beliefs and religion, and again, description of Enki and the world order, the underworld, the creation of humans, and as I said, one of the great things about role-playing games like this is essentially, as I said, if you don't know anything about the setting, if you don't know anything about the period, it's as good a way to find out, because in the main, the authors will have done their research and further it's not just a case of, okay, I've read a book and I know. You're going to take that knowledge and you're going to put it into practice in the role playing. You know, you're going to basically explore it yourself through a character, and it's going to affect you through that character. Okay. And this is all before we just get on to character creation. It's basically we're 80 pages in, plenty of background, and then essentially we get on to the gods and myths. Loads of things, basically, just to show you Enil, Gula, Ishtar, and then the tale of Atrahasis. Again, I apologise if I mispronounced that. And again, but it's just basically background content, just more and more of it. There's, you know, huge amount, and it's, you know, and the great thing about this, it's not just made. It's oh god, it's not a case of you read a role-playing game. There's just this huge wodge of information about a background that's just made up, and you've just got to get your head around it. This is accessible in a way because essentially it's real, or has been real to people before. So it's history. Tables of the gods, quite a little lengthy. Yeah, here we go. Here are the great gods. So gods and myths, and we really haven't. It's essentially 99 pages. Yeah, it's 102 pages before we even get to think out what you can play. Essentially, what you've got to basic characters are look like basic roleplay characters you might see in RuneQuest or Call of Cthulhu and so on, that sort of thing. But obviously, they are created differently to characters in those games. They have common skills, standard skills, and professional skills, and they will basically their creation is typically through their cultural background, where they grew up, and then an occupation, and each time they're given skills, points to assign to standard skills and languages, and their professional skills, and also combat skills as well. And they'll have background events which will adjust their character as well. So you have careers like administrator, ambassador, exorcist, baru, diviner, bailiff or gatekeeper, domestics, so servants, entertainers, labourers, galabu, barber surgeon, herder, merchant, messenger, necromancer. Basically, necromancers are skilled at questioning the spirits of the dead to gain insights into the will of the gods. So priests, charioteers, soldiers, infantry, and so on, sailors, sorcerers. So plenty of different occupations. We have a guide to creating names, which fits the Arcadian setting. So just tables and tables of names, and basically it's essentially variations upon them. And it's clear to essentially see that the degree of research which has gone into these. And we did basically, we've got a section on wealth and equipment, purity and magic, and essentially purity is a trait fundamental importance when it comes to how an individual interacts with the divine and how strangers react. It represents both spiritual and physical cleanliness. Characters in Mythic Babylon have a purity score to measure this trait, so that can be important, and it can be lost and gained permanently or temporarily, and that will have an effect upon how people react to them. And it's essentially that will also determine how well the gods react to you as well. We have spells and we have a let's have a look. History. which goes from the year 4300 BC. All the way up to 1764 and into future events, all the way up to 15 BC, so there's a lot. And it basically also, again, this is backed up with a guide to geography. So we open up with a description of, you've got a description, the first place it's essentially got Babylon, and that runs quite lengthy. You've got a map, also city plan of Babylon as well there, and basically show you plot seeds at the end to get you started. And it's doing the same again for each of these locations, all the way through. Again, accompanied by great artwork, solid illustrations, and basically a nice overview of the city of Nagar there as well. And basically, it's looking at each of the. Basically, it's looking at that region. Then beasts and monsters covers. You've also got a section on mythical places as well. Beasts, demons, spirits, and monsters. So ordinary creatures, right through to dangers such as hybrids and Goethe Blulu, or scorpion men, mer people, Kasariku bullmen, and a lot more. Then we've got a basic section on campaigns in the age of Hammurabi, and it's dealing with a discussion of freeform party creation, directed party creation, and dealing with themes, whether that historical themes like Machiavelli, politics, trade, water management, mystical themes like immortality, death in the netherworld, and so on. How to make use of history, bringing ancient Babylon to life, and that support. I mean, basically, that will support sort of like all that content, all that background you get in this book, quite a lot. And then sort of like some interesting details, and sort of like you build campaign adventures around like duty, importing wood, or debt cancellation, handling hostages, or so on. Basically, campaigns on Hammurabi's Secret Service. I've got lots of campaign suggestions in here, and so on. Treasure. Sections on distributing treasure as much as relieving characters of their treasure. So basically then you've got encounter tables and so on. There is no adventure in it. I hope, please do put out some adventures for this. Even a campaign would be fantastic. Just don't let this sit on its own. I think this. I mean, just looking through this, I'm impressed by what you've got in here. Just how fantastic and comprehensive this is. And it's sort of like, I mean, that kind of comprehensive nature deserves a campaign of its own. I'd love to play this. But yeah, the only thing I'm going to say with the printing is basically it's slightly off, as you can see at the top there. That's fine. I'm not going to complain too much about that. But it's a nice book, nice looking book, and you can get this both on drive-thru-rpg.com and Lulu. I recommend it just from browsing through, not just because of the authors, but also because of the subject matter, but definitely because of the author, because Dr. Mitch is a nice guy. So yeah, that's Mythic Babylon from the Design Mechanism. Available now. It's been really popular, and now people have been snapping this up. So thank you again for watching another unboxing in the Nook video. If you've enjoyed this, please do click the like button, And of course, if you have any feedback or comments, I do take the time to read and respond to those. I appreciate you taking the time to add them. And lastly, if you have enjoyed this and you want to be alerted to yet more unboxings in the Nook, and see me here with, of course, a box, a book, and a nice cup of tea, then please do click that subscribe button, and essentially you'll be let know every time I upload another video. In the meantime, thanks for watching. I appreciate you taking the time to do so, and I will be back again with another unboxing in the Nook very soon. Bye for now.